Georgia at the Big Shanty Festival in downtown Kennesaw, and it is a beautiful day. If you haven't made it down here, I suggest get into your car and come on to downtown Kennesaw and check out what the Big Shanty Festival is all about. We're continuing our barrage of interviews this afternoon, and upcoming next we've got Ann Harris, who's running for Cobb County Superior Court Judge. We want to welcome to the show, Ann.
Thank you, Anthony. I'm very happy to be here. It's been a fun day. It finally warmed up.
Now, these are nonpartisan races that we have for our judicial seats here in Cobb, and you're actually looking to replace the retiring Jim Botiford, correct?
That's true. He's been on the bench for 29 years in Superior Court, and after 29 years, he leaves some big shoes to fill. I hope to do my best.
Excellent, excellent. And for those of you that are walking around here today, it's always nice to know some of the folks in the judiciary. So please come on by and make introductions to Ann Harris. You know, I actually, you'll appreciate this first question I have for you, Ann. And I guess what I'll do first is just, why are you running? Why do you think voters should vote for you? Why are you the candidate that should be elected?
Well, Anthony, I've been in the Cobb District Attorney's Office working to keep our families in our neighborhoods safe for 19 years. I have prosecuted serious criminals who commit serious crimes. I've prosecuted those who kill and murder and rape. I prosecuted the first case of felony elder abuse in the state of Georgia, and he's still in jail, fortunately. But also, you learn in prosecution that prison is not the answer for everybody. Prison is very expensive, and for our nonviolent offenders, particularly those with addiction problems or mental health problems, prison is probably not the answer for them. We need to try alternatives, which the District Attorney's Office has partnered with Superior Court to do that, drug courts and mental health treatment courts. But at the end of the day, I think what people are looking for in a judge is someone who is devoted to the law, someone who works to be fair to everyone, who respects the rights of the accused and gives voice to the victims. I do all of those things in Superior Court now, and I've done that for 19 years. And I think those are the values and the experience that are important in Superior Court.
You know, one of the things I was reading about you, and in just some research that I was doing here, and reminded me as we were driving back from Hilton Head, we were driving back through Macon, and my wife made a comment of how bad human trafficking still was in Georgia, and I noticed that you were instrumental in drafting Georgia's first human trafficking statute. Tell me about that.
Yes, Anthony, I was, and in fact, it was funny because that arose out of a case that happened here in Cobb County. It happened in Smyrna and involved some young women, several of whom were teenagers, and they were being sex trafficked in Smyrna. And the U.S. Attorney's Office, because of the small number of people involved, was not thinking about taking the case, and they said, well, let the state prosecute it. And what we discovered was there was no state law for human trafficking. And so we spent the next year working very hard to get some legislation passed at the state level, because it is a serious problem. It continues to be a big problem, particularly with underage girls. Since then, we have made great strides in not only training law enforcement as to how to spot trafficking victims, because you have to look beneath the surface, but we've also spent a lot of time just educating the general public, because what sometimes appears to be prostitution is human trafficking, or what appears to be just a lot of people working for very low wages is labor trafficking.
Some very deep issues. Wow. I think one thing that I wanted to ask too, just in the context of, you know, obviously the DA's office has to work with your Cobb County Police, Sheriff. You know, you're all instrumentally part of the same team when it comes to public safety. One of the biggest things that we've been doing as Citizen Georgia, as far as an issue that we've been focused on, of course, and talking to over 100 Cobb County police officers, really is just, and once again, being a part of that team, if you will. Do you feel do you feel in the context of things right now when it comes to the Cobb County Police that they should be paid more?
Well, I mean, I have personal opinions about that. I know that in the last year or so, we have lost several officers to smaller jurisdictions that are paying them higher salaries, that are paying them better benefits. Some of the numbers that have been thrown around are not necessarily correct, but it's undisputed that we have lost a number of officers to these other jurisdictions. That's particularly hurtful to the county because Cobb County has a wonderful training program to take in young recruits and turn them into mature police officers who know how to make the right decision. And so we spend this money training them, and then they are attracted away to a smaller jurisdiction with better benefits. So I do think there's a problem there. Now, having said that, I know the Public Safety Director, Sam Heaton, I know he has gone in and gotten statistics from the departments, and I know he has approached the commission to try to rectify that. My understanding is there is relief on the way. I'm not a party to those discussions, but I think there is a need. I also think the commission recognizes that there is a need. And there's concern out in the community. I was at an East Cobb function just a couple of weeks ago, and there was concern among the citizens in East Cobb that the, quote, boots on the ground were maybe we maybe didn't have quite enough that were getting paid enough. But I do think the commission is looking into it and trying to address it.
Let's ask just in the context, appreciate I'm not going to sit up here and ask you how you stand on certain issues because you're not going to be able to talk about those types of things anyway. But I think, how would you characterize the biggest difference you have versus the others that are running for the seat?
Well, I have actually been practicing law, been in court every day, every week, longer than either of my opponents in Superior Court. I have handled more cases and I have tried more jury trials, and it's one thing to be a lawyer, it's another thing to be in the courtroom every day. I'm also very proud of the fact that I have not had a jury trial reversed in 19 years, and that's important because when you have to retry a case, that's expensive. It takes a toll on the parties, and it's a very expensive process. So I have been very careful to try cases cleanly and avoid reversals, but mostly I think it is simply the depth of my experience in Superior Court that neither of my opponents has.
And last, what I'd like to ask you is, as far as everybody walking by, I want you to hear this. Obviously, she's running for an open seat for Cobb County Superior Court. If you live in Cobb County, I think it's important that you hear this. What would you say to the voters looking in the eye? Why should they hire you for this position?
They should hire me for this position because I have the experience that matters and I have the values they can trust. What I have been doing for the last 19 years, my experience and my values, that is what is needed in the next Superior Court judge.
We want to thank Ann Harris for being on the Citizen Georgia radio show this afternoon here in downtown Kennesaw. When we come back, we're going to continue on discussing some of the issues and discussing with some of the candidates that are running for particular offices. We look forward to continuing the debate.